Good evening, Sector 001. I'm TJ Esnek, your host for the Jupiter Station podcast. And tonight's guest, we've seen in many different forms. We've seen him in Tacoma Fire. We've seen him on Loki on Disney Plus, and most of you are familiar with him as Rutherford from Star Trek Lower Decks. Let's please welcome Mr. Eugene Cordero.
Hi. Hi,
Hey,
hi, hi.
Eugene. Thanks for
How are
uh,
you?
thanks for coming to visit.
Yeah.
Um, it is such a privilege to talk to you. Um, I absolutely love season 5 of Lower Decks. Actually, that was probably the best season of all of them that I've watched.
Oh man, thank you. Yeah. Had a blast doing it, obviously. Love all 5 seasons, but like the fifth season definitely had a great flow to it and definitely was, um a bummer, in certain regards that it was our last season, but I think Mike McMahon and everybody on the writing staff and all the animators did an awesome job of making it look great. Finishing it out.
And it definitely left it open for like maybe a movie. You
It
never
does.
know.
Yeah, more episodes, more seasons, movie, multiple movies, multiple more seasons. Yeah, it's that's I mean that's the great thing about Trek in general. It just feels like it's something that could keep going and come back, and no one's going to blink an eye at the justification of how it returns. So it's cool.
Absolutely. So, were you always a fan of Star Trek?
I grew up watching the original series with my dad. Um, it was one of those shows that he would have on, and I would sit with him and watch it with him. So uh, that always spoke to me in a certain way. Um, I I have a fondness for that because of many uh, nights with my dad, just kind of watching the craziness and the practical effects or the lack thereof. Uh, um, watching the background in a way. My dad didn't notice it as much as I did, but I'm like, did we see this world before? They just changed the color or whatever.
Like, if the different color sky or the rock is on its side?
Yeah, yeah. Other than that, the same three rocks and everything, but just still really, really cool to have that as like my base. And then through college and stuff, I had a lot of buddies who were really deep into uh, Next Generation, and I would also, it'd be one of those things again where sitting with my buddies, sitting there. This time, not as obvious when it's reusing anything, uh, obviously not happened that much, but uh, that definitely spoke to me too while I was getting older. But then had a new fondness and a new love for everything Star Trek once this started going around because Mike McMahon and Tawny Newsome too are just huge Trek fans and huge have some deep roots with it. So I didn't want to be the one that missed out on all of our um, I didn't want to be the one that missed out on all of our references or all of the Easter eggs that would happen. And, they would happen at times. And, I'd have to watch the episode that it was from. Uh, and I wasn't afraid to be that guy either, though. But, they had some real deep cuts in there that I loved.
And I can remember watching like season 1 right through season 5, and I would watch every episode and like, no way, they totally remembered that. And like, it was, if Picard wasn't a love letter for Star Trek fans, then Lower Decks all 5 seasons definitely was.
Sure, sure. I think Picard hits it really well. And I mean, it's hard not to show some love for all of those actors coming back and we seeing that but there is something to the kind of the fan mentality of how Lower Decks kind of handled it, and I think the fact that it was a comedy, so it lent itself to a little bit more fun of of how, you know, they played with the world and how they jumped in there was a nice change, I think. But you know, I'm biased to my, you know, Warp Core 4, you know.
And that was the thing, like, watching the show and how it progressed. It wasn't like the other Star Trek shows, and yet it was at the same time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, it fit right in there of, you know, where it fit in the universe, um or where it sat, and I think it was in a really great place. I don't know. Again, I feel like I'm just talking up a show that, you know, I was lucky enough to be a part of, but that's how I feel. I think they did an awesome job of you know, nodding our heads at some of the craziness that we've seen in the past, and also, you know, have fun with its own stories and still play within the stories that are very common within, you know, the Trek universe.
Like how they totally made fun of Tuvix.
Oh man,
What would Janeway do? I think we all know what Janeway did. Like, why are we even talking about this right now?
it's crazy. Yeah, two Vixes. I mean, it's messed up. It is a messed up thing, honestly. But it's also great that we get to play with it.
So, having said that, was Rutherford the first Star Trek role you actually auditioned for?
Yeah, yeah. When I auditioned for the show, I didn't know it was a Star Trek show. They kept it, you know, away from us. It was just kind of like general sides. I think I think when I got this script, it was just called Cerritos or something, and there was no way that I would have known what that was. I was like, a show that takes place in a weird city in California, you know? But it was sci-fi, so, you know, I didn't really have a good handle on it. And a lot of my auditions were or my audition for it was just really trying to like own the technobabble that they had me do. And it, you know, it wasn't Trek related. It was just pretty much just nonsense to see if I could make words that don't make sense, you know. Um,
So when you figured out it was Trek, what was your reaction?
I mean, I was over the moon. I mean, it was crazy, you know. I was like, wow, what a, you know, what a world, what a place that I've never been able to play in before. Um and when I knew that it was going to be a comedy, and I knew it was going to be with the people that it was going to be with, I got even more excited. Uh because a lot of us, with me, with some of the other cast, have some pretty deep roots. Tawny and I have been doing shows and improvising together, and also did another TV show called Bajillion Dollar Properties. Noel and I had done shows at UCB together, the Upright Citizens Brigade in New York, and then maybe a couple of times in LA. Um, had been doing too many things with me and Paul Scheer, with Paul F. Tompkins. So there's just a lot of people within the comedy world that were kind of building out this world. And Don Lewis and I had shot a pilot a few years prior. So I had some relationships with a lot of the cast prior to the show even happening. But the friendships and the relationship that we built within the 5 seasons is crazy, because we all record separately, but yet it feels like we know each other insanely well.
And along with that, yes, you recorded your voice and you went into a cartoon. I mean, basically a cartoon character. But now you and Tawny and Noel and everybody who's been involved in Lower Decks, you guys are now part of that more extended Star Trek family.
Oh man, the Star Trek family is something that is completely different than anything else. You realize how much it's affected so many lives in different ways, but also just as a performer within Star Trek. because we have the opportunity of seeing each other at Star Trek Day, or going to a convention, or going on a cruise, like all of these things, we get an opportunity to see all of these other actors within the Star Trek family that accept us so eagerly, and so excited, and I appreciate that so much.
Now, having become part of that family, have you had the opportunity to kind of have like one of those classic fanboy moments where, it kind of hits you that, oh my God, I'm part of this, and now like Captain Kirk or Captain Picard is part of that extended family.
Oh yeah, I mean, anytime we had any guest actor, um, legacy actor in to do a cameo on our show, or um, or even interacted with anybody. I think the first time I did was at Star Trek Day a few years back, and um, and everybody literally welcomed us with hugs and saying welcome to the family, and I didn't know what that really meant yet until I experienced it regularly. And you know that's like an opportunity to just, like, I don't know, talk to Denise Crosby, or Frakes, and he's just the nicest guy and really excited about what we've done. And that's after you've seen them do so much. You're like, wow, this is awesome. So yeah.
I mean, this definitely gives me the chance to geek out and really, let my geek flag fly, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I got a chance back in November to go to the Rhode Island Comic Con, which is just one state over, and I was recruiting for a fan club that I'm a member of,
Uh-huh.
and I walked up to Jonathan Frakes' table right next to Michael Dorn's table, and I've got this Picard era uniform on, and I'm standing in line, and I'm like the next person in line, and the person in front of me has just left, and Jonathan looks over at me and says, "Well, good afternoon, Commander. Come on over, let's talk." And my jaw dropped, and I'm like, "Wait, what? Did he just me?"
Yeah,
And
I
he's
know.
really very nice and very personable, and that's from everybody I've talked to. That's naturally him.
That's him. And it's just it's great to experience it firsthand. It's great that you get to experience firsthand, and it definitely um is an amazing thing for us to see, to in a way, to see how we conduct ourselves, in various different ways. But, like, how well he's received and how awesome he is as a human being. You kind of want to also give people that opportunity um to feel that. But, you know, as they should. I mean, the reason that the show is popular is because people watch it. And the reason people watch it is because people connect to it. And if you don't appreciate that side of this industry, from my point of view, then you've lost a lot of it, you know, because we to get into this, you have to be fans of TV, of movies, of anything. Like, you have to love it. And so if you're not a fan of it yourself, then you kind of aren't giving yourself the opportunity to, like, enjoy it.
I mean, watching, Boimler and Rutherford together in like the same scene. I always thought of myself as kind of like I could very easily fit between those two because, I'm very nerdy and geeky like Rutherford, and I am bouncing off the walls anxiety like Boimler. I'm like, oh, I could totally fit in with both of those guys.
Oh
And
yeah,
I mean, God forbid that we all three got together in like the same scene. I think we'd probably blow the scene apart.
yeah. I mean, the Cerritos would be gone, and and everybody would be in trouble. But that's also part of the learning curve. I mean, which is also the point of Lower Decks that has made it so great, is that it is the Lower Decks. I mean, not so much anymore. Everybody's gotten a promotion, um, but it's still the lower-ish decks. It's still the place where you are there to learn, and I think seeing that point of view of people learning to be in Starfleet is important, because we all think of that when, what would it be like if I was on the Cerritos, if I was on the Enterprise? What happens if I'm not, you know, doing as well as everybody else that's on the bridge? You're like, oh, I'd be like these lower deckers now, and that's also okay.
Like I jokingly put a meme together, and it was Captain Kirk in one frame, and it was the EMH in another frame, and it said, "My life, like what I wanted to be, and what I became." And I thought that was hilarious. Or
Yeah.
you look at something like, everything is so pristine and clean, and you never once think, like it can't stay that clean forever. They gotta, find an alien who's slimy or something
Sure.
explodes on them or something. And I took a picture of me with the sick bay as a background, like what I think Starfleet is, and then right below with Bill Murray from Ghostbusters covered in slime. I was like, oh, it slimed me.
Yeah.
And I
Truly.
think Lower Decks definitely gave us a chance to really expand on the meme verse, because we're not taking it too seriously, but we're taking it
Yeah.
just seriously enough.
Absolutely.
Because it's one of those things where if you don't laugh, you're probably going to lose your mind.
Oh man, that couldn't be a truer statement, man.
Let me ask you, um, from a creative standpoint, what's your favorite aspect of Rutherford? And what is a memorable encounter that brings that to life?
Um, I think Rutherford's constant and consistent positivity um, towards his work is something that I try to bring to my real life outside of Trek, or outside of this cartoon. Just because, we're I don't know, we live in a world where if you're too excited about something, somebody is willing to like put their stamp in a way on it to make it negative, or to like, bring you down to a certain extent. Um, you can't just be a nerd about the thing that you love. You have to, somebody has to tell you that you're a nerd. Somebody has to tell you that you've worked too hard to get there, or worked too hard to be this person. And he doesn't apologize for that. He works hard and is excited about the work that he's done. And I love that. And weirdly enough, I feel like you really see it, and this is like me. um I mean, it's almost like two sides of yourself, like you want to be really excited about something, and then you self-sabotage in a way of going like, is that too nerdy, is that too whatever. So the Reflections episode where Rutherford goes up against Red Rutherford, or the younger version of him that was like the cool um younger, hipper, just wanted to like fight things, wanted to race the ships, just that kind of vibe. um the fact that like that whole episode was him kind of against his younger self, and what like other people would think of him being a nerd, was kind of, it was great to play both parts, because that's how you feel sometimes. Like sometimes you have to, you know kind of go, yeah, I guess I'm not that into it. Yeah, that's dumb. That's dumb. And ultimately, you know, the real Rutherford wins, by having a support system, by having people that are there that are also proud of him for all of the hard work he's done. And it's not, and it wouldn't have happened unless he believed in himself in a way that is so positive. And I don't know. So like that episode for me. Also, it's fun to do the evil version of kind of evil versions of yourself, you know?
And it kind of makes the fans think, hey, this is kind of like what I think sometimes. Like if somebody's, they've gone through, you know, growing up,
Hmm.
and they don't grow up quite like they think they were going to, they would naturally have a reaction like that. Like, well, did I really do everything I could? And like
Yeah.
you said, the real Rutherford won because he had the confidence in everything he's done.
Yeah. Yeah. And and that's the thing that I try to you know, pull into my life, try to instill in my children, as they're growing up and they're excited about things. I want them to stay excited and to not judge it too hard.
And that's the thing too. Like, I have I'm a dad of a blended family of seven.
Wow.
So I'm a little crazy. But my youngest, which is my daughter with my current wife, and she loves watching Star Trek. She'll watch Strange New Worlds with me. She watched Lower Decks, and she watches the whole thing and she experiences it, and then she asks me questions, and like,
Yeah.
you kind of think like, well, where did this question come from? Like, how old are you again? And she's 5, but
Wow.
she doesn't think like a 5-year-old, and it kind of frightens me sometimes.
Sure.
Like my latest tool, like she gets scared in her room, and my latest tool was I got her a phaser off of all things Temu. Temu is dangerous, man, dangerous.
I'm not messing with Temu, bro.
But I got her like a Strange New Worlds Discovery phaser, and the first thing that girl did was she cleared monsters out from under my bed. Like
Oh.
she grabbed like a little flashlight and her phaser, and she went under the bed and said, "Okay, Dad, I took care of the monsters." And
Oh.
we haven't had an issue with her coming out of her room going, I'm scared," because she'll reach over and she'll take the phaser out of the little phaser case I got her. I got one of those little cheap plastic boxes, and then I pulled out the foam, and it's actually in the shape of her phaser, so she
Oh,
puts it there
cool.
every day. And she opens it up, and when she gets scared, she pew pew pews the monsters and they go away.
That's
So
so awesome.
Star Trek gives you some tools in that parental toolbox
Yeah.
too.
Ah,
Um,
it's so good.
Speaking of friends and people who support you, um, in the grand scheme of Star Trek friendships,
Hmm.
where do you think Rutherford and Tendy's friendship falls? Is it closer to like Kirk and Spock, or is it more like a Troy and Crusher kind of thing? Or
I think I think in a way, um, I think it has a very Kirk and Spock relationship in the sense of I like the Tendi Rutherford relationship to some feels very much like a could be a romantic relationship. Is it? Are they? Aren't they? Type thing. And the thing that I found so special between the two of them was that they just are they just take it all in, and they take it all in together. They want their best friend, to see what's so amazing about the world that they're living in. Um and they're really proud of each other. And I feel like there is something deeper there than any kind of romantic relationship that it would turn into. And I'm not saying that, you know, that romantic relationships ruin anything, but I'm saying, like, you don't get to see, I mean, especially in comedies, you don't get to see a platonic relationship between a man and a woman that is based on their brains. um, and uh, and it's awesome to see that in a cartoon. So I think it gives itself it lives in its own special place that that I can't define it. So is it similar? Yeah, but I just don't. I don't think anybody's kind of tackled it in that way and be okay with it. And and people might end up shipping them together, but they do it with you know with with Boimler and Mariner, and they do it with Boimler and Rutherford. I mean, so it's just like that's fine. However, that that's how you see the connection. I understand you, but it's nice that on the show that you know people blush when you kiss them on the cheek. I think that would happen no matter what. Uh, but to have that deep of like a mental relationship is something that's unique that you don't get to see enough.
And as far as like where it ranks, I think it's basically like broken the mold on that because, like you said, nobody's ever really tackled that in a comedy or anything really, as far as like a platonic relationship between a man and a woman.
Yeah.
Um, and getting to like the Boimler and Rutherford connection there, I think those two are like Kirk and Spock if Kirk and Spock had ADHD.
Oh man, absolutely. Or I mean, I don't even know if it's ADHD so much as if Kirk and Spock were younger when they met in that way. If they met while they were lower deckers, like there's a chance. Well, no, Spock would be very similar to Lynn, I guess. So it would be different. But yeah, definitely if Spock had ADHD by a billion. But but Captain Kirk, if he was in the lower decks and coming up, like I could see him getting in trouble with these two guys. You know,
Like
um,
Enterprise bingo or
yeah,
any number of things.
yeah. I think he'd get swallowed up by some things that Mariner brought him to. Sure.
This is not Snowflake. This is not
Oh
Snowflake.
my god. Yeah. He
And do
he.
you follow up with anybody else from the show now that the show is over, or is it like you kind of see them at conventions, or do you talk to them on a regular?
Uh, Pretty at conventions now we'll see each other. But even without that, we still kind of have our core four text chain, which is just Jack, me, Tawny, and Noel. And every once in a while, Tawny's the best at it, so she'll have something and have us all be there, and we'll be there. Jack and I never even met in person until season 5. Uh, between
Wow.
season 4 and season 5, yeah. And it was at Tawny's birthday party that it happened. Just because we had such different shooting schedules, he would show up at something I wouldn't be able to. So we made it a joke that we hated each other, but we just had never met. Um, so so we did New York Comic Con this past year and got to do press for season 5, and that was all 4 of us were there with Mike McMahon. It was the best. It was a blast. So yeah, we still all keep in touch whenever somebody's doing something or we see them on another show. It's all praises. And all of us still on a text chain with Mike going, "What's going on? Can we do a movie or something?" So, we're in
We are
contact.
all crossing fingers on that because I don't
Yeah.
think we got enough lower decks.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much more story that could be told, and I'm ready to tell it, and I'm ready to be a part of it. And I'm not done playing Rutherford yet. But at the same time, I feel like I'm also just not done being within the Trek family in one way or the other. I'm still pissed off at Strange New Worlds, and I will not watch that show because I did not show up on it. So I'm angry at all of them. I hate them all as human beings and as actors and as creators. No, I love that show. I wish I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous of Tawny and Jack for how great that episode was. Frakes of directing it. Like, I'm just like all of it all together. I'm glad my voice was still lent to it for like, the top and bottom of that episode, and the crossover of it all is absolutely,
Well, yeah, somebody
amazing.
had to run the Guardian of Forever.
Yeah.
Like, why not let it be the engineer?
Yeah, I know, but I could have poked my head through or something. Come on.
I always pictured Rutherford meeting Chief O'Brien at some point.
Oh man.
Like the hardest working man in Starfleet meeting the hardest working man in Starfleet.
Oh man. I think that would just be the most boring episode, because it would just be them just exchanging notes. Probably not even talking, just like going through it, just looking at their
hand open, open the hand, they'll put the spanner wrench in.
Yeah.
Just get like passing tools back and forth because they're like right here and they're like mind reading each other.
No, that'd be cool.
Well, I gotta say, I thank you so very much for taking time out of your, I'm sure, very busy schedule. I'm gonna pop into the green room with you after we're done recording. I gotta ask you a few questions. But we definitely appreciate you stopping by Jupiter Station, and we will talk to you later.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too.
Hello, Sector 001. The Jupiter Station podcast is made possible by the support and sponsorship of viewers like you. If you like what you see, then please consider supporting what you like. Our Patreon membership has a few different tiers to fit your budget. Go to patreon.com/Jupiter Station podcast today for more information and to sign up. Thank you.
Here at Jupiter Station, we've partnered with Purple Carrot to bring you the best in vegan foods. From meal kits and ready-to-eat foods to vegan grocery offerings, Purple Carrot has the healthy options you're looking for. Go to purplecarrot.com and use promo code TJ30 to get 30% off your order today.